Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
How's it going?
Good.
Good.
Guys, I have big news.
Oh,
I have the biggest news. You ready?
I'm ready.
So Jeff Probst, he's a host and executive producer, right?
Okay.
He thinks that this celebrity would be the perfect contestant for Survivor.
Oh.
This celebrity, guys.
I love that one.
That's absolutely crazy.
I love that.
Can you believe
celebrity.
that? No, it's this celebrity, not that one.
I love this celebrity.
Yeah, this celebrity would make the
that
perfect.
one, total dick.
No, that
my
one would
But
be a
this
bad call.
one,
Yeah.
this one would be
Yeah.
best.
Yeah. Also, hello and welcome to. Oh shoot, we haven't done a numbered episode in a hot minute. I don't remember what number we're on.
That's so embarrassing.
Guys, what am I even doing? I'm such a bad host.
Are you even a podcaster? If you
I
don't
must
know
not
what
be.
number episode
Oh my
we're
gosh,
on?
guys. Okay. Geez, the last numbered episode we did was 1917. What the crap is wrong with us?
Oh my gosh.
Hello and welcome to episode 54 of We Watch Movies and Then Talk About Them, the only podcast on the internet where we watch a movie and then talk about it. There may be others where other people watch movies and then talk about them, but this is the only one where we do it. My name is Andrew Westonsko. I am the host of this here podcast, joined at my right hand in life and in all things by Becca.
Hello.
How's it going?
Good.
That's great.
I'm a bit yawny tonight, but I'm good.
Well, just don't do it into the microphone.
Done.
Done. To Becca's right and my left, due to the circular nature of our table, is Sid.
Hi.
Dude, the peace sign. She threw a peace sign, but you guys couldn't see it. It was
couldn't
just,
see it.
I think it's instinctual.
It really is.
So it's like, oh, I'm greeting somebody. Peace sign.
Yep. My hand is just perpetually in peace sign. It's stuck like that. I have arthritis.
That's terrible. Aren't you like 23?
But I'm hella chill. So.
Just all the time because of your constant peace sign.
Yeah.
Guys, today we're going to be covering The Call of the Wild, which is a 2019 feature film where
The dog.
Harrison Ford plays with a cartoon for an hour and a half.
When he could have played with a real dog.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, here's the thing. So let's quickly talk about the trailer for The Call of the Wild. Have you seen it, Sid?
Terrible.
Yes, many
Yeah.
times.
Okay, so that trailer disturbs me. It really
The
truly does.
dog is disturbing.
The dog freaks me out.
It's not good.
It is it's this weird hybrid between like a super lifelike cartoon and being just way, way, way too emotive.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Like when they would pan around and look at the dog's face, it just freaks me the crap out.
There's on Reddit, there's a subreddit called Shitty Movie Details, and there's one, and it's just a shot of Harrison Ford and the dog, and it said, in the shot from Call of the Wild, they needed Harrison Ford looking dismayed, so they showed him some footage of how shitty the dog animation was going to be. No, it's really creepy because like it looks kind of realistic.
I was gonna say like the body and the movement of it is
Yeah.
like,
Just the face.
and then like they pan, and then the dog turns around and gives you like the shocked guinea pig face. You know the
Or-
gif I'm talking
yeah,
about where
yeah.
like it zooms in on the guinea pig's face and he
Yeah,
whips around. Like the dog makes a face like that all the time.
yeah. Dogs don't do that.
No.
Well, and I feel like they could have done that movie with a real dog.
Well, yeah, that's the thing.
Like,
right?
it might have taken some training, but it would be better than this.
No, Becca, if you can do it with visual effects, you should do it with visual
right.
effects. Right?
Yeah. Just never make anything look realistic.
Here's the thing. Combining animation and real world has just gone downhill since Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
True.
Because you got to lean into that, right?
And hopefully our saving grace will be Space Jam, starring LeBron James.
Dude, who knows, man? I
feel like that's been in the works for like 18
Well, and here's
years.
the thing. I was excited for it, and then I found out that LeBron is just another corporate shill who hates democracy. And I was like, oh, I don't know if I can go to that movie anymore. So, you know,
Shame.
LeBron is like, oh, human
Down
rights
with Space
violations.
Jam.
Like, I love human rights violations. That's what LeBron says.
Don't we all?
He doesn't say those exact words, but he
I
might
am
as well.
pretty sure he said those exact words.
Okay. Here's the thing, guys. We do have a small order of business to cover. Another small order of business, aside from Jeff Probst recommending this celebrity for Survivor contestant. Friends and family listening to this, did you guys want another reason to love Parasite?
Yes, I'm going to speak for friends and
Yes?
family.
So do you want another reason to love Parasite?
I didn't know that there were any others.
There are more reasons to love Parasite. Are you ready? This is my favorite one yet. Our grand old elected leader, president of the United States of America,
Oh.
took time out of his recent rally in Colorado to bash the Academy for choosing Parasite as Best Picture just
What?
because it's a South Korean film. He
Didn't know this.
he spoke his opinion on the Oscars, and this was fantastic. He spoke his opinion on the Oscars on two matters. One, he said that it was a stupid choice to pick Parasite for Best Picture because it already got Best International Feature, and they should have picked something more American, and that we need to get back to the days of Gone with the Wind, also known as like the most white
Racist.
homogenized racist movie ever. And he also took time out of his speech to bash Brad Pitt for his offhand comments about not having any witnesses testify at the impeachment trial.
We love Parasite.
Oh, we absolutely. This
Oh,
makes
yeah.
me love Parasite more.
Oh
I didn't
yeah.
know I could. But
Yeah.
I do.
Additionally, Bong has gotten just real close with the Criterion Collection in the last couple of weeks.
Yes.
They've been posting a lot of photos and like articles and stuff with him. They're very on board. They announced that both Memories of a Murder and Parasite will be coming to Criterion Collection. So
Woohoo.
who knows? Here's the thing. I'll make this note for the people who are equally nerdy about boutique Blu-ray releases as I am. I am all about Criterion getting into the more, I guess, contemporary films. And I also like this thing that they're doing where they're announcing way ahead of time that they've like struck a deal about something. Like they're pretty open about like they put a lot of care and time into the supplements and the transfers of their movies. Like Roma took a year. And so like while they've announced their deal with Netflix, I don't expect The Irishman or Marriage Story anytime soon, but I like to know that it's coming. They just announced a couple of weeks ago that I think we're up to May releases now, that in May Wildlife will be releasing, which if you guys remember from a couple of years ago, that
yeah.
was
That's on my list for this year.
yeah, so it's Paul Dano's directorial debut. It's got Jake Gyllenhaal in it. So they're taking it upon themselves to be like the platform for these kind of contemporary art films that are not getting the attention they deserve. That's not to say that Parasite falls into that category. I think they're just doing it because of the historic context in which Parasite exists. And I'm very excited about that. But I don't know. I like there's a lot of people on the Criterion subreddit that are none too happy about Criterion getting into the contemporary film game. There's this weird contingent of Criterion fans. And for those of you who don't know, Criterion is just a boutique Blu-ray and DVD label. They release very high quality transfers of films with tons of supplements and all this kind of stuff. There's a small contingency of Criterion fans who are of the opinion that Criterion exists to distribute films that don't have a good like a good version available, and that if they release a movie that already has a good transfer or a good version available, that they're wasting their time, that they should focus mostly on older films that need to be remastered is the wrong word, but like given a good transfer to digital and given supplements. And I think those guys are just spoil sports. Like,
Well, because I feel like the whole point of Criterion is just like identifying important movies that people should watch.
right, exactly. It's a celebration of film as an art form.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of modern films that do that just as well as your older films.
Mm-hmm.
I guess their point is that like it takes away from other older films getting released, but I don't know, man. They've got so many movies out.
Yeah.
So we did just get our version of Roma, and it's absolutely gorgeous.
It's amazing. It's really heavy.
It's very heavy. Very large book inside of there with several essays, and there's like 3 documentaries on the disc. It's crazy. Really well done on that one. I'm very excited to receive our Grand Budapest Hotel
Yes.
version when that comes out, I think in April.
I just got Her and La La Land.
Ooh, very
On
nice.
Blu-ray.
Very nice.
I don't have a Blu-ray player. One day I will.
There's a lot of people
One
that collect
day.
records that don't have a record player.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah, for sure. You know, one day I'll have a Blu-ray. I'm just slowly starting my collection now.
what you got to do, just go out and buy like an old PS3. You can find an old PS3 for like $100.
But also, you can get like a Blu-ray for like not that much either.
Are they not that expensive? I literally never bought a Blu-ray player because I've just always had a gaming console.
Yeah, they're really not.
They're
that
not
bad.
that expensive.
They're like
I think
under
4K
100.
players are expensive.
Oh yeah,
but
those are gonna be
Yeah.
more
Blu-ray-
expensive.
Oh, that's right. That was just back in the day. Back in the day, when Blu-rays were first becoming a thing, the PS3 was one of the cheaper options for a Blu-ray player. But I guess they've gotten cheap now.
Mm-hmm.
Just like right now, the Xbox One X is one of the cheaper options for a 4K player because you can get one for like
Yeah.
$300.
Yeah.
Yeah, Blu-rays are actually surprisingly cheap. Like Her was $10.
Oh,
Wow.
I think that's
Yeah.
around what I paid for it. Yeah,
Yeah.
if a movie is more than a few years old
Oh,
and
yeah.
isn't in high demand, Amazon will usually have it for like 10 to 12.
Oh, yeah, like there are already a few that I want to buy, that are like I bought both of the La La Land and Her was like $20.
That's not so bad at all.
Yeah.
I've gotten like so stingy though. Like if a movie releases a regular Blu-ray, I'm just like, oh come on, just put it on Criterion. But I am stoked. I have pre-ordered. I have Little Women pre-ordered. I've got Uncut Gems pre-ordered. And here's the thing, small rant, and we're gonna have an episode. I promise you. So Jojo Rabbit just released, but I don't want to buy it because the Blu-ray is so ugly.
Is it? What's it look like?
It's so unbelievably ugly.
Is it just covered in Oscar things?
No, it's not even that. It's like the art itself is just fine, but there's like a weird, like huge Universal logo up at the top that like cuts into all of it. It's super ugly. The 4K version looks all right, but they don't even have it listed on Amazon. So I don't know who is distributing Jojo Rabbit, but you're doing a piss poor job in my opinion. Because I wouldn't mind owning that movie. I looked to try and buy it, but no.
Yeah, that's a good one. I want to own it.
Also, A Hidden Life still is not anywhere on physical as far as I can tell. So
Really?
that's disappointing. Yeah.
I also want to own that one.
Yeah, for real.
We spend way too much money on movies.
Oh, we absolutely do. That's probably our single largest expense aside from food and rent.
Yeah.
Rent, food, movies.
Yeah, especially if you include going to movies.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I guess if you throw concessions in there, then it might put it over food.
Yeah, probably.
In any case, guys, today for episode 54, we're returning back to a director that we have covered now twice, I believe, right?
Yeah. And talked about
Yes.
plenty.
Yeah, we've talked about him a lot. As you know, here on the podcast, we're big Wes Anderson fans. If you listen
Me especially.
Yeah, Becca especially. If you listen back to our episodes on Grand Budapest Hotel and Moonrise Kingdom, we enjoyed both of those. Oddly enough, both of those films are movies that have grown on me over time. And I think that that's honestly the case of every Wes Anderson movie. I think I like each of his movies more on a second viewing.
That's how I feel about his
Yeah.
his older movies. But
I just think
the newer ones I love.
like a lot of the humor is really dry humor. It's like you don't pick up on everything
Right.
the first time.
Right.
So I think you're picking up on funnier things and you're more accustomed to the weird nature of everything.
Sure. So I want to kick off before we get into our discussion of Bottle Rocket. I did want to have a small discussion on Wes Anderson himself because now at this point we've finally very nearly made it. Sid, you've seen every Wes Anderson movie
Except
for Darjeeling Limited.
Yes.
And we have seen every Wes Anderson movie except for I Love Dogs, which we need to.
Yeah.
We'll get around to it at some point.
Yeah.
Who knows? I want to know everybody's top 3 Wes Anderson films. You don't have to give an order, but I just want to know what, because I feel like this is like a movie lover's personality test, right? Like, what are your 3 favorite Wes Anderson movies?
And we just had this conversation a couple days ago, and I don't remember what I said.
Well, go for it. What do you think?
I would say in no specific order, Moonrise Kingdom, Fantastic Mr. Fox, and Grand Budapest Hotel, or the Royal Tenenbaums. I can't decide.
Those are fair picks.
So like those two would be tied for third, and then Fantastic Mr. Fox and Moonrise Kingdom are tied for second. I mean first. I can speak. It's fine.
Just numbers. No big deal.
Yeah.
Okay. I think number 1 is why can't I even Royal Tenenbaums.
Okay.
Number 2, Grand Budapest Hotel, and number 3, Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Wow.
We're all different.
We are different. So my number one, and I think this is by a pretty good margin, honestly, is Grand Budapest Hotel. I think that the more that I've become familiar with his work, especially after seeing it for the podcast, the more I think it's just kind of a culmination of everything he's done. I think Ralph Fiennes is fantastic in that movie. Rafe Fiennes, he's incredible. Number two for me is going to be Moonrise Kingdom. I love that movie.
So good.
And then 3 and 4, that's a tough bet for me. Number 3 is really tough. And I think you could flip a coin and land on either one. But number 3 for me would be a tie between Life Aquatic and Bottle Rocket.
I forgot about Life Aquatic.
Yeah.
I don't think it'd be in my top 3 though.
Life Aquatic and Bottle Rocket would be any given day could be my number 3.
I mean, we're going to talk about it, but Bottle Rocket is up there for me now.
Yeah.
It is.
That one was pretty close.
We're going to get into this, but holy goodness, is it a great movie.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. I just wanted to see where everybody stood. I think there's like amongst fans, if you look in like a lot of Reddit threads and stuff, there's a very wide variance. You see a lot of Grand Budapest Hotel, a lot of Royal Tenenbaums, and a lot of Rushmore at the top of people's lists.
I didn't love Rushmore. That would probably be my very bottom.
Same for me. I felt the very, very same about Rushmore.
I felt like that one's kind of middle for me. It's kind of meh, nothing too crazy.
Yeah, it just wasn't like special for
So
me.
what's your bottom Wes Anderson film then?
Actually, that one would probably be more towards the bottom. But actually, I am not a huge fan of Moonrise Kingdom.
Really?
I don't really know why. Like, it's still really good, and I think I gave it like a pretty okay rating.
Sure.
But for some reason, like, the only way I can think to describe it is I get creeped out by it. I think honestly, just the kids weird me out.
That's fair. They're creepy.
Yeah.
They're weird kids, and
They're
like,
Wes Anderson kids.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's like
but
if you took
like hyper Wes Anderson.
Yeah, it's like if you took Chaz's kids from Royal Tenenbaums and we're like, the entire movie is yours.
I mean, yeah, it's still really good, but I would probably say that probably Rushmore is the very bottom, and then Moonrise Kingdom is right above that.
Wow, that's a hot take.
Yeah.
That's a very hot take.
I think my second bottom would be Darjeeling Limited.
I mean, I haven't.
I get that.
One,
I get that.
It just was.
I mean,
it
I
wasn't
hear that
really
one's
about
not as
anything.
I would honestly
but
put Royal Tenenbaums as second bottom.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I would say my bottom 2 would be Rushmore and then Royal Tenenbaums.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
And
a hot take too.
That is a hot take. That's a very hot take. But it just is what it is. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. I love Royal Tenenbaums.
I mean, yeah, like
I just don't love it as much.
Saying that it's at the bottom does not mean it's the worst of everything that's ever come out in the history of movies.
Yeah,
Very good point.
like something's got to be the bottom.
Yeah.
Well, sure, yeah. Like Rushmore is still a million times better than It Chapter 2.
But for me, it's like Rushmore I didn't love, and the rest of them I loved.
I
That's how
feel the same way. Yeah. All right, folks, let's jump in. Today we're going to be talking about Wes Anderson's 1996 feature-length debut, Bottle Rocket. This was co-written by Wes Anderson and Owen Wilson. Stars Luke Wilson, Owen Wilson, Robert Musgrave, and a host of other people.
And Kumar.
And Kumar. I really blew it, man. I love Kumar so much. Yeah, here's how the format's going to work. We're going to do our hot takes, little condensed opinions. Then we're going to have our discussion. Then Sid will regale us with the best of IMDb movie trivia. She read it all, so you don't have to. Following that, we will jump into our final thoughts and rating out of 10, at which point we will jump into other topics, other movies we've been watching, things we've been thinking about, whatever we want to chat about. And that's how that's going to work. So let's jump in with some hot takes. Don't burn yourself on these hot takes. Becca, how hot is your hot take?
It's pretty hot.
Spicy hot
Yeah.
take.
No, I'm like genuinely surprised at how I feel after this movie. The first time we watched it, I didn't really like it. We probably watched it a year ago.
I have no idea.
I don't know. A while ago. We were on a Wes Anderson kick a while ago, and we watched like 3 or 4 Wes Anderson movies in like 2 weeks. And I just didn't love it when I first watched it. But this time, I think just on a second viewing, like Andrew said earlier, it grew on me and I enjoyed it a lot more. I enjoyed the humor better. I enjoyed the story more. And it was just a delight to watch. And I very much enjoyed it.
Very good. Said, how hot is your hot take?
Oh, it's pretty hot.
Oh, spicy hot take number 2.
I loved this one. I don't know. Like, I feel like with some of his earlier ones, like with Rushmore, like, I don't know. Like, you know, like we talked about, I just don't love that one. So I was kind of nervous about this one because, like, I've heard that it's, like, not his best. But I loved it. I think that the like Wes Anderson-ness of it was really toned down, and I think that was a really good way to showcase the writing and just how witty everything was.
Gosh, the writing in this movie is good.
It's so good.
Is this his second movie?
This is first.
Oh, this one is his first.
Yeah, Rushmore's
okay.
number 2.
Okay, I thought Rushmore was first for a second.
I don't know. I just thought it was hilarious. I will say that it did like kind of slow down for me in the middle. But everything about it was just so funny, and I loved it.
I did not note down when we watched Bottle Rocket, so I have no idea when it was.
Then it must have been more than a year ago.
Either that or I just missed it, because we watched it after Moonrise Kingdom.
That's true, we did, because that's when we bought a bunch of Wes Anderson movies.
I must have just missed it. Bummer. Yeah, my hot take is also very hot. I love this one. I mean, I think that that's indicated by me putting it potentially in my top 3. I don't know, dude. Life Aquatic is so freaking good.
That's another one that I need to watch again.
So good.
I think you're right. I think all Wes Anderson movies take two watches.
But it's interesting. I feel like a lot of his movies exist in pairs, and I would almost pair Life Aquatic with Bottle Rocket in the same way that I pair Grand Budapest with Rushmore, and like in a way, Fantastic Mr. Fox with like Royal Tenenbaums.
Oh, I don't see those connections at all.
Really?
I thought you were going to say different connections.
Really?
Yeah.
I think that, I mean, you know, I think the connection between Rushmore and Grand Budapest Hotel is pretty obvious. The, you know, Gustav and the bellboy, and then Max Fisher and Bob Murray, kind of that, the film centering around that relationship, right? And being enamored with somebody while at the same time realizing their limitations and accepting them for that and all that kind of stuff. Like,
okay,
a beautiful message,
fair.
right? And then Bottle Rocket and Life Aquatic both focus on kind of an eccentric person who doesn't really take into account those around him, but is somehow still just this magnetic force that people want to kind of accommodate in everything they do. And just kind of the angle that it takes with it is very interesting, in that it's not negative. It doesn't demean those kind of people at all, but it more highlights the beauty of the relationship, and that like just the film is almost just about, I guess both of them seem to me like to be just about an understanding that like human relationships are not equal no matter what you do, like, and you know, there's just give and take on both sides, but like there's always more give than there on one side than there is on another, and like the acceptance of that, and still the beauty in human connection in spite of the kind of inbuilt inequality in any relationship.
That's a really good connection. I totally see that now.
And then again, Fantastic Mr. Fox and Royal Tenenbaums, the connection I make there is, you know, Mr. Fox is really similar to Royal in a man past his prime, disconnected from his family, and trying to both kind of recapture the glory days of his youth while also trying to maintain the relationship with his family, and kind of the understanding, again, that in life there is always give and take, and you can't have everything you want, and that at some point you need to make a choice as to what is important to you.
Man, I love Wes Anderson.
So those are the connections that I see between those movies. That's what I mean, like when I say that I feel like his films exist in pairs. Those are kind of the connections that I see. And so
maybe Moonrise Kingdom pairs up with Isle of Dogs.
It very well could.
If we go watch
but
it.
If honestly, if anything, I would say that, and not just to fit the pattern, but like I would pair it up with Darjeeling Limited in a lot of ways.
I just forgot about that one.
No, yeah. Again, just kids in their relationships
Running
with their
away,
well, no, yeah,
running
children,
to
because that both of those movies really are about children's relationships with their parents and how that interacts with the world around them.
Yeah.
And how your relationship with your parents really shapes your identity, but also that need for like the balance between like a need for independence, but also that need for connection within family.
Well done. Great
Thank you.
connection.
Thank you. This has been my TED Talk on Wes Anderson movies.
And how they are interconnected.
And how they're
important
well,
to
no,
your
these are
life.
just like, I mean, I guess we're not specifically even talking about Bottle Rocket at this point, but like Wes Anderson has a very singular focus on family and interpersonal relationships. And again, kind of the beauty in the imperfection of those relationships. And I feel like each movie explores a different relationship essentially from a different angle. Mm-hmm. And really, if I could boil Wes Anderson's filmography down into one idea, it would be that inherent beauty in connecting people, whether it be through family or friends or romantic relationships. And the like, just that really, like, just how beautiful the idea of human connection is.
Yeah.
That's how I would describe Wes Anderson's like ethos in making films.
Yeah, I see that. I agree with that.
So that's my take. That's how hot my hot take is.
It's pretty hot.
Yeah. I don't know. A lot of people like to shit on Wes Anderson, which is weird. Like a lot of like really pretentious film people, which who cares what they think anyway, but like just saying that, oh, he's too quirky, or he's quirky just for the sake of being quirky. He doesn't actually have anything to say. Like he's more style over substance. And I just don't think that's true.
No, me either.
I really don't think that's true.
Well, he uses his style to tell interesting stories with important themes. Like,
Well, right. He's not making like these super difficult to watch art films. Like he's making really entertaining, funny movies.
well, and I love when a movie can be so different from real life, but so right about reality at the same time.
Oh, right. So like intensely grounded in its emotional, like the emotional core of every Wes Anderson movie is super grounded.
Yeah.
Even though the world around him is totally ludicrous.
Yeah. But I love that. Like that's the fun of hearing or watching a story, is that it's quirky and different and creative and not what you see every single day. But yeah, again, still has that grounded theme.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. We're getting into we do have some spicy takes today, huh?
Yeah.
These are good spicy takes. So let's talk about Bottle Rocket.
So good.
That's
all.
I
over.
kind of already gave my thought about what I think the movie is about, right? Obviously the plot is one thing, but like what it's about, I think is like I said, the kind of that inequality that will always exist in any relationship between people. And that's not to say that like the scales are always tipped in one direction. I think that's what makes the relationship between Inez and Anthony so interesting, is that the scales tip back and forth as far as who is giving more than they're taking in that relationship at any given time. I mean, obviously with Dignan and Anthony, it's pretty tipped in one direction, but like, just Anthony having the wherewithal to understand and to love Dignan enough to treat him the way that he does. I don't know. It really is a very beautiful thing, I think.
Well, but also this is only one like clip of their life that we were able to see. Like,
well, right. The implication is that they've been friends forever.
Yeah, and I'm sure that the scales have tipped both ways throughout their life, but Dignan just has the stronger personality.
Yeah. Well, and I guess that's a good point, because even you think like at the end, it's the most cheeky thing I think I've ever seen Wes Anderson write into a movie is the last line of this movie. Because I was thinking it, I was like, oh man, this is a interesting like circular way to take this film. Anthony starts out in the mental hospital, and then Dignan is in prison, and again the way that those scales have tipped a little bit. And then Dignan's last line is literally, isn't it weird how you were in the hospital and now I'm in prison? And then that's how the movie ends. I'm like, Wes, you're way too clever for your own good. Like, how do you pull off actually having...
Just like literally saying...
Yeah, like...
But like it fits really well with his character. Like his character would totally say something.
Oh, absolutely.
Like that.
I think it's also like because Anthony went to the mental hospital by his own choice, and obviously Dignan did not go to jail by his own choice.
But he kind of did. Like
I think he did. Yeah,
he chose to go back
yeah,
for
okay, yeah, that's true.
Applejack.
Yeah,
he knew exactly what was going to happen.
yeah.
But I don't think I made that connection, so you pointed that out.
Even though
Thank
I was
you.
wrong.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess there's a debate to be had there, right? Whether he
Yeah.
chose to or not. But
I mean, you could say that like he did it knowing that that was a possibility. Like I would probably say it was more he wasn't totally in control instead of it wasn't his choice.
sure,
You know.
yeah.
I think it was probably as much his choice to go to jail as it was Anthony's choice to go to the hospital.
Dude, Anthony's description of his whole thing is just the most incredible thing in the world.
I love it.
And then I realized, not only did I not want to answer that question or any other water sports related question, it's just such a great. And the girl, you're so complicated.
Well, so that's another thing that I think this movie does really well is just like, well, like you said, celebrate relationships, but also just like celebrate people however they are. Like,
Well, sure.
I feel like no one was put in a bad light, even Mr. Henry or
Future Man.
Yeah, Future Man.
I love how there's no explanation as to like why he's called Future Man, but he just is, except for that one time they call him Jack.
No, Jonathan.
Oh, that's right, Jonathan. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I mean, it doesn't matter. He's Future,
Future
Man.
Man.
But like even the like villains in the movie, they're still celebrated as just like people.
Well,
that are
right. They're
quirky and weird.
villains in a Wes Anderson movie.
Yeah.
Like they just kind of again just are the way they are.
Well, but even Dignan at the end is like, oh, even why don't you just give this to Mr. Henry? No hard feelings. Like,
Right?
Like I feel like that's a strong point of this movie is that it just celebrates people for who they are.
Well, yeah, and if you want to talk about celebrating relationships, even look at Bob and Future Man. Like they're acting like they're 14. I love that scene where they're in the country club and he's like, I heard you've been telling people that I ran away from home. He's like, yeah, I'm 26. I can't run away from home. There's so many great quotable lines in this movie. Like,
They really are.
how's an asshole like Bob get such a great kitchen? Or like when Dignan and Anthony are talking and you just hear Bob and Future Man just beating the crap out of each other throughout the entire conversation. Or the whole back and forth about the gun. Like,
Yeah. My favorite part was it was the same scene, but it was when they were planning their plan and Dignan said something about them chasing and Anthony's like, well, are we actually going to get chased? He's like, no, I'm being hypocritical.
I guess one thing that I took away from this is like how just what a skilled comedian Owen Wilson either was or possibly still is, because his timing in this movie is absolutely ridiculous, the way that he delivers these lines. Like it just every single time he opens his mouth, something amazing comes out.
Yeah. Also, I feel like he like coached everybody on how to talk because I felt like they all talked the same. They all had like the same Owen and Luke Wilson drawl or whatever. Like the
Yeah.
way they talked to each other was just so like relaxed and like whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how everybody talked to each other and I loved it.
Well, because I think that Luke and Owen Wilson are also
Yeah, they're brothers.
from, well, yeah, but they're
Oh.
from Texas.
Yeah, they met Wes Anderson in school.
Oh, okay. There you go. Jeez, what a freaking
Well, but more than like
duo to
a
team
Texas
up.
accent, it's like very specific to
Mm-hmm.
Owen Wilson. Like he just has a very specific
I
way
mean,
of talking.
Owen Wilson was co-writer.
Oh,
so,
for this one?
yeah.
Okay.
He wrote this and Royal Tenenbaums.
Okay.
Yeah, and did he write Rushmore as well? He wrote Bottle Rocket, Rushmore, and Royal Tenenbaums. That's right. So, yeah. I don't remember what we were talking about.
Just this
all the
movie's really
things.
good.
Just how this movie's really good. We were talking about Owen Wilson.
Well, yeah, no, I was just talking about the way they talk to each other. Like,
oh, right.
well, even just how they were like, oh, I'm trying to remember some of the lines. Well, first of all, when Dignan was like, here's our plan. It's like a 5-year plan.
A 75-year plan.
Yeah.
And then there's that line, oh gosh, what is it? I forget how Anthony says it, but he's like, you're definitely not on track for your 75-year plan. The movie is just so quotable.
Uh-huh.
It really, really
And
is.
also, like, the way they talk about stealing and thievery, they're like, it's their career, and they're so just like casual about it. And like, when he's like, there's not much money in thieving.
What I've
Or it
learned is
doesn't pay
that
well.
crime doesn't pay.
That's what it
We're
was.
going to get the best place in the house. I'm going to show you that crime does pay.
It just like, it's so comical because they're talking about crime the way that you talk about some other career that
Right.
you know, we're in this together, we're a team, and we're gonna push through the hard times and be good. But they're stealing from people.
Right. I did actually know. I realized what my favorite Dignan moment is, and it's when oh gosh, what's his name? The guy that translates.
Rocky.
Rocky's like, tell Anthony I love him. All right, man. Just the look on his face and the way he delivers that line is so perfect.
No, the best one was the one that you pointed out when we were watching the movie, when they're at the club and the guy turns to him, "Are you in the army?"
No, I just have short hair. Yeah, that just blew me away. I was like, somebody wrote that interaction, and I guess it sets up the fight later on. But like, what on earth, man? The music in this is great.
Yeah.
Where does he find these things, man? Like, what was Wes Anderson listening to in '96 that put him onto all this random like indie folk stuff?
No idea.
But the music is
So good.
fantastic in this. It's really very good.
It is.
Yeah. Who's your favorite character in the movie, Becca?
Ooh.
Kumar.
Yes.
Dude, I
Kumar.
might have to agree with Kumar, actually.
Sorry, it wasn't my turn, but I
No,
just
it's
had to
okay.
say.
I mean, I think Anthony's my favorite character.
Anthony's great. I love Kumar, dude.
He's just like, he's barely even in it.
And
He
he
just like
just-
shows up and then he's just a bumbling idiot.
They open the door and he's in the cold storage just shivering.
Or he's just like sitting down in the room when he's supposed
He's
to
supposed
be.
to be breaking the safe and he's just on the couch.
I love just like every time they're running around, they're like, "Where's Kumar? Come on, Kumar. We gotta go. We got Kumar. Do you got Kumar?" Like everything's about him, and he's just wandering around aimlessly.
I mean, you realize that it was all a setup from Mr. Henry, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
or the look on Bob's face when at the end he's like, and they tell him that Mr. Henry robbed Bob's house. He's like, "Oh yeah, I thought about robbing that place myself." And the look on Bob's face. Oh man.
So great. I feel like I could just go through like scene by scene. And
Oh,
be like,
for real,
this
though,
was funny,
it's just
this
such
is
an
good.
it's such an enjoyable film to watch.
And again, like it took me a second time because the first time I didn't love it. I think it felt a bit slow. I didn't know where the story was going. And so I was always like, I don't know. I guess I was just expecting it to be like a heist movie, which it wasn't. And
I mean, there is a heist of a bookstore.
well, there's a few. They
That's right.
steal. They
That's
go
true.
steal things a few times, but like, I don't know. I was expecting it to be more about that when I first watched it. But you're right. It's about relationships and life and people, whatever. And so, having watched it a first time, going in this time, knowing exactly what the story was, helped me enjoy it better because I was never like wondering what was going to happen or worried about what was going to happen. I just was able to enjoy it.
Sure. And I feel like that, as much as anything, comes from, again, just what we talked about, being familiar with Wes Anderson's film language, right? The way that he communicates things and the way that he uses these larger than life characters to communicate these really human emotions and ideas
Yeah.
is pretty unique to him, I think.
Yeah.
Gotta love Wes Anderson.
Oh yeah. Me too. He's my favorite director. I mean, seriously, like all of his movies I love.
I really don't think there's a dud.
Yeah. He like figured out how to tell stories in such a good way that like is everything I love about film and storytelling. So
Yeah. When he manages to do it with such a distinctive style
yeah.
that
When we see other movies that are similar style, we're like, oh, that's Wes Anderson's style.
well,
You know,
right, like that was my issue with Jojo Rabbit,
Yeah.
right?
is that like not that it's being copied or anything, like it's still unique, but when you see something that's similar, it feels like a copy,
Yeah, for sure.
which I'm okay with because I
Yeah,
love it.
I mean, it's hard to think. You think like maybe Malick would be in that club of directors who have such a distinctive style that if you go in a similar direction, you're ripping them off.
Yeah, because again, I've had such a hard time figuring out like what directing means, and Wes Anderson's films, like that's the first time that I really understood what directing added to a movie and how a director can have a specific style. So I think it's great that they're like that we have directors that can be so specific and stylistic and unique.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Is there anything else you want to say about Bottle Rocket? I don't know. I feel like I said my piece way early on about what I wanted to say about the movie, and then
Yeah, I mean, I honestly don't think that we need to talk about it forever because it's just like a great movie. There's not really anything wrong with it.
no, I don't think so.
Like, it's just enjoyable and it tells a good story.
Yeah, for sure. Did you have anything else?
Nope, it's just awesome.
It is just awesome.
It's just great.
Well, should we take a look at some trivia?
Yes.
Is there some good stuff?
Yeah, there's some pretty good stuff.
Let's hear it.
Okay. Let me pull it up. Okay. So after the movie bombed at the box office, Owen Wilson considered it
so
did
sad.
really bad. Owen Wilson seriously considered joining the Marines, convinced that acting was not for him.
Oh my gosh.
So
That's
he's
so
just got a short
sad.
haircut. You know. This is the feature film debut of Owen Wilson and Luke Wilson.
Really?
Wow.
This is first scored. Oh, this scored the worst test screening points in the history of Columbia Pictures at the time.
People just weren't ready, man.
I don't think they were.
I'll tell you what.
Yeah. Wes Anderson and Owen Wilson completely rewrote and reshot the beginning of the film when Sundance refused the film.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I wonder what the changes were.
Yeah, I know. I was wondering too. I mean, it's still a really good beginning.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So it's different. Like we have the updated version.
I
Is
think
that?
so? I think that's the idea. Every summer since 2011, there's a party at the motel where the film was made.
That's so great.
Yeah, this was kind of to help save the motel from closure. And now just like people go to it every year. That sounds super fun.
That's pretty great, actually. I just imagine there being a ton of confetti and people walking around in colorful robes. Gosh, that sequence of him walking around after Inez has got to be one of the funniest things I've ever seen in
That
a
was
movie.
amazing. Especially when he walks in after her to the
He starts fluffing the guy's pillow and
He's got his hand on the card.
right, and she looks at him and is like, "You need to stay here," and he just walks in immediately after her. Like,
or just sorry, again another moment when he asks to keep her sister's picture.
can I keep it anyway?
She's just like, see. Oh my gosh.
Okay, anyway.
Okay. When Anthony shows Dignan in his sketchbook, this is the first time on film that you hear Owen Wilson say, "Wow."
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Can you believe? History in the making.
History in the making, indeed.
Let's Let's see. So this did originally start as a short, and I think, okay, it was first shown at the USA Film Festival in Dallas, Texas, and then that was taken to Sundance, where it became popular, and then they decided to take it and turn it into a feature film.
Wes Anderson has quite a few shorts.
Mhm.
Like
I
for a
mean-
lot of his movies, there.
Yeah, we watched the one
shorts.
for Darjeeling
Darjeeling
Limited
Limited.
because it's
And
on
there's
the
one for
Criterion.
Moonrise Kingdom.
Oh, is there?
Yeah.
Hmm.
And I think another one. I don't remember.
Interesting.
This is number 7 on Martin Scorsese's list of best films of the 1990s.
I remember that.
Wow.
In the Criterion version, there's an essay by Scorsese.
Wow.
Yeah, he loves this movie apparently.
I mean, it's great.
Yeah,
And that is all I have.
that's some pretty good trivia.
Thank you.
Scorsese's got good taste in movies, turns out.
Yeah.
Wow, can you believe it? I thought his favorite movie was Green Book.
No, there's actually on that note, if you can find it, it's just on YouTube, but I guess you probably just search. There's a video. It's like 15 minutes long of Roger Ebert and Martin Scorsese going back and forth on their top 10 films of the 90s. It's from back when Roger Ebert had a TV show, and it's fascinating. They both put Thin Red Line in their top 10, which I'm like all about. Yeah, Scorsese obviously had Bottle Rocket. I think Ebert called Hoop Dreams his number one movie of the 90s. Apparently it's a documentary about lower income area teens getting involved in basketball and how that can be kind of a gateway out of the cycle of poverty and stuff like that. So I don't know. Apparently if it was Roger Ebert's top movie of the 90s, it's probably pretty decent. They both put Breaking the Waves in their top 10, which I thought was an awesome choice because I love Breaking the Waves. So it's a fantastic video out there. So if you can find it, go on YouTube and search Martin Scorsese, Roger Ebert top films of the 90s. You'll find it. It's really good.
Cool.
Yeah. All right, folks, let's do this thing. Becca, any final thoughts? And your rating out of 10 for Wes Anderson's Bottle Rocket.
I don't think I have anything more to say, just that I love it. And I know I can't do this, but I want to go through and see what I rated other
Nope.
Wes Anderson
Nope.
movies.
Can't do it.
Because I want to make sure it's in line with where
Nope.
I think this sits. But I think this is a fantastic movie. And I'm going to give it an 8.8.
8.8. Very good. Sid?
I loved this. I loved it more than I thought I would. It's just the whiting. The whiting is so witty.
The whiting is so wood.
The writing is so witty, and just it's very subtle, like a lot of his movies. But the performances are just they're quirky and they're subtle and they're weird and they're just so funny. I have been kind of toying with Andrew's method of only rating movies on a solid number, but I don't think I'm quite ready for that yet. So I'm gonna give this one 8.5.
8.5. Yes, for those of you who may have missed our last couple of episodes, I have, in the new year, decided to restrict myself to rating only whole numbers on the Weston scale. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's how we count.
Thanks for that lesson.
No half points, no 10th points, none of that.
I'm just doing whatever I want.
That's fair. So I give Bottle Rocket an 8.
All right.
I think an 8.8 and 8.5, and an 8 rounds us right out about 8.4.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. It's an 8. It's probably closer to a 9 than it is to like a low 8, but it's still an 8.
That is interesting because if I had to do half points or whole points, I would do an 8 or an 8.5 because it's just not quite a 9.
I agree.
But I didn't do half points, so I
Yeah.
can do whatever.
Whereas I
want.
would say that like both Grand Budapest and Moonrise Kingdom are 9s for me.
I agree. I would
Which is interesting because
actually,
I would need to go
Royal
back and
Tenenbaums
change
would probably be the
because
same.
I gave Grand Budapest an 8.5 and I gave, where the heck is it?
What did I give Grand Budapest?
I gave both Grand Budapest and Moonrise Kingdom 8.5s.
What did I do?
You gave Grand Budapest an 8.5 and Moonrise Kingdom an 8.9.
Okay.
So there you go.
Cool.
Well, sweet beans, folks.
Yeah.
Let's get into some other topics. What have we been watching? It's been a hot minute.
It's been a long time.
You been watching some good stuff, Sid?
Yeah, I've been watching some pretty good stuff. Let me think. What are some good ones? Let's see. Okay, I watched Babel.
Ooh, how was that?
It was extremely depressing.
Is that in Yartu?
Yeah, but it was great. It was very stressful, and it's very, very sad, but it's incredibly well acted.
Because is that the one with Brad Pitt?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like the one with like the 3 different storylines.
I don't know anything about it other than Brad Pitt's in it and Iñárritu directed it.
Yeah. Pretty much it's just like 3 different storylines somewhat entwined. It is definitely kind of like an existential dread type.
Wasn't it nominated for Best Picture?
I think so. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Let's see. I watched Barry Lyndon.
Ooh, how was that?
I loved it.
I need to get back on my Kubrick kick.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. Like I just like wasn't super looking forward to watching it because
It's very long, right?
I think it's his longest one, but I mean, like the story moves along.
Is it
pretty
longer
well.
than 2001?
I think so.
I'll look it up. You keep going.
The story moves along pretty well. And I mean, I was kind of just like passively watching it while I was like doing my cross stitch, like an old lady. But it's a fascinating story, and like you like all the characters, but you also hate them at the same time.
Okay.
And
But isn't it like just totally gorgeous too?
Oh, yeah, I was just about to say it's gorgeous. Like the costumes look amazing, the set design, every shot, because they like structured it to look like Renaissance paintings.
I was gonna say they like took a bunch of paintings as inspiration and structured the blocking and the set design around these Renaissance paintings.
That's cool.
Yeah, and it's just really, really good.
It is 3 hours and 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
2001 is only 2 hours and 29 minutes. That blows me away. If you ask me, I would say that 2001 is 3.5 hours, not 2.5.
Yeah.
That movie is phenomenal, but you feel its length.
Oh yeah.
I know we've watched so many movies that are 2.5 hours, but you cannot watch 2001 without at least
No,
one
you
break.
need an intermission in 2001. Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
But that's interesting. Is Barry Lyndon that way? Like, when I watch it, should I expect to take a break, or can you just sit through it?
I mean, I took a break just because like I didn't have time to sit down and
Sure.
watch all of it. But like honestly, when it still has an intermission, and when it came on, like I was like, oh, there's an intermission. Oh, and then I just like skipped
But it has one built into it.
Yeah.
That's good. I think that I have Barry Lyndon.
Yeah, I mean, like it's not like you get invested in the story, but it's also like not a big deal if you like miss a second to like go grab food or something.
Okay.
But I really, really liked it. That's it. And then I watched The Birds of Prey.
And
I actually really liked it.
I've heard incredibly mixed things about it.
Yeah, I mean, like the writing's not great. And like the storylines, like it's pretty good. But mostly like the fight scenes are really fun, especially in the last fight scene where they're like in a fun house and they're just really creative with it. And yeah, I really enjoyed the fight scenes, and Margot Robbie's fantastic.
She always is. Margot Robbie's a gem.
Yeah, I mean, like some of the acting is not great. Ewan McGregor's great. Yeah, I would say like it's just a really fun movie.
All right. Well.
Yeah. It was a really good one to go see post breakup on Valentine's Day.
Well, there you go.
That was really fun. And then I watched Blue Velvet.
Are you getting into Lynch, or have you seen several, or where do you stand?
Getting into Lynch. I've seen most of Twin Peaks. Like I've seen like half of the new season.
I would like to go back to Twin Peaks. I think I might be in a better place for it.
Yeah,
we watched it for a long time and then stopped because it was getting really slow.
It's not structured like a regular TV show in that there's not like a complete
story arc for each episode. It's just like a 20-hour movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Like, even when I watched the second season, like, I would kind of skip around because it is very slow and there's so many characters and they're not, like, really pushing them, I guess. But yeah, I loved Twin Peaks. And I feel like that was a good introduction to Lynch because I tried to watch Mulholland Drive 2 years ago before I seen anything by Lynch. And it was just so bizarre that I just couldn't get behind it. I need to give that one a rewatch. But I would say Blue Velvet is a pretty good introduction too.
Did you watch it just to praise Our Lady Laura Dern?
I mean, that was part of it for sure. And Kyle MacLachlan.
I guess it starts with a B though, so you're probably just going down your list.
Yeah, that's definitely how I'm doing it. But yeah, it's like a good introduction. It's got mystery. It's still weird, but it's not like the weirdest thing you've ever seen. Yeah, I thought it was really good. There are some like weird sex scenes and like there is a rape scene, so like I would advise against that if you're not into it.
Be aware.
Yeah. But it was really good.
All right.
Yeah. So I'm excited to try and get more into Lynch.
I'm into that. We watched The Elephant Man. And that movie just devastated me.
Yeah.
Like
that movie was amazing.
that movie in a way that not very many have just knocked me on my butt. Like that movie like emotionally harmed me, I think.
Yeah.
In just like a way that, like I said, I don't think that a lot of movies have. The Elephant Man is a really special movie.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen you react to a movie the way you did to The Elephant Man.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah.
What else? What other B movies you got?
Let me think. There was another one. I mean, I watched Black Narcissus.
What did you think?
I really liked it.
I love that movie.
That one was really good.
Freaking that. Oh my gosh, dude. That scene where they finally push her off.
Oh, yeah.
Ah, jeez.
Oh,
and that shot when she like finally, Black Narcissus for the uninitiated is this movie from the 50s or the 40s. I don't remember.
I don't know.
It was made by these two British dudes about a nun who goes to a convent in the Himalayas.
47.
47. She goes to a convent in the Himalayas and ends up just going freaking psycho. It's like a precursor to like your Shutter Islands and I'm having a hard time thinking of contemporary analogs. Shutter Island, I think, is a decent comparison, though. It's really a precursor to those kind of like psychological thrillers, and really ahead of its time for the kind of things that were popular in the 40s and 50s, right? And it's got these absolutely gorgeous hand-painted sets that manage to look like modern special effects because they use these paintings and tricks of perspective to make it like they've got this incredible shot up on a cliff and they show the same shot several times because they're up on the cliff and it's like the painting is done in just the right way that it looks like, you know, this cliff just goes down forever and ever. And the acting in it is sublime. It's a really a very, very good movie.
Yeah, I'm glad I watched it. And then I watched the new To All the Boys I Loved Before.
I don't know what that is.
It's like the Netflix movie where she like writes those letters to. Anyway, it was horrible. I hated it. I only watched like it's the second one. I haven't seen the first one, and I only watched the last half of the second one. But I just knew exactly what was going on. It's terrible. Don't watch it.
Good to know.
Yeah,
You've been busy.
I have been busy.
Very nice.
We've been decently busy.
Yeah, we have. We've
Watching
seen
movies.
we've seen a decent amount.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go for it.
Okay. I have to look at this list.
That's
and
why
I'm
we
trying,
keep it.
I'm trying to remember which ones we haven't talked about.
I would start at Gretel and Hansel.
Okay. Gretel and Hansel. That was fine.
Yeah,
That's good.
it was entertaining.
Yeah.
It's hard to say if it was worth a watch.
Yeah.
It was a good thing to go see in the theaters in January.
Yeah, I mean, it was stylistically very good.
Oh, gorgeous.
And fun to watch.
The direction in it was fantastic. Cinematography was great.
But it was just a very, very simple story.
Screenplay
and-
was absolutely
yeah.
trash.
So, whatever.
Like one of the highest divides in quality between like every other aspect in the screenplay that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
The screenplay was
Yeah.
so bad.
So that was.
That's what I'm
the
saying.
thing.
Like it's hard to say if it's even worth watching because it was just like it averaged out to be fine. And
Yeah.
I really worry that seeing it outside of a theater would just make it like totally uninteresting.
Oh, yeah, I agree. It was fun to go see because we went to a theater.
Yeah. And seeing it on the big screen and have
Yeah.
having the darkness and everything. Whatever.
And then The Gentleman.
We did see The Gentleman.
It was good. It was really fun.
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah, Andrew liked it a lot more than I did.
Loved
but
it. I thought it was awesome.
It was fun. A very Kingsman feel to it.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
There's that very British humor, and I thought it was great. Big fan.
Um,
They called everybody the C word nonstop.
Wow.
Yeah. But it didn't bother me because it like felt right.
Well, yeah,
and
we're
it
all
was
just
in
a
context.
bunch of British dudes.
Yeah, if it was any other movie or anyone that wasn't British saying it, then I would
Yeah.
be really offended.
The amount of charisma
Uncomfortable.
that every single person in that movie had just pouring out of them was kind of like Ocean's 11 levels of charisma from every single member of the cast.
Yeah.
Really crazy. A very good. I loved it. Like I could see it. I mean, who knows? Who knows what movies are going to come out this year? But like, it could be like a sleeper hit for me throughout the year. I think I loved it.
Yeah, it was good. This next one is one that when I looked at this list first popped out at me, and I forgot that we watched it.
How could you possibly forget?
And then as soon as I read the name of it, I remembered. So we watched Naked Lunch, and the best way that I can describe it is, well, so this happened the next morning. We were like, was that a dream? Did we actually watch that? Was that
So yeah, for anybody who doesn't know, Naked Lunch is a David Cronenberg film from the early 90s. Same guy that made Scanners, Videodrome, The Fly, these very practical effects heavy sci-fi movies. And it is one of the more bizarre things that I've ever seen put to film.
Mm-hmm.
It is absolutely bonkers.
Like, I feel like I watched a drama about a man who kills his wife and freaks out and runs away. Like, I feel like I watched Gone Girl. And then, no, I'm just kidding. And then
That's a strange connection to make.
I'm kidding. That's just as I was describing that came into my mind. Anyway, so I feel like I watched just like a regular drama and then went to sleep and then rewatched the entire movie while I was dreaming, but just everything turned into cockroaches.
Cockroaches and centipedes.
Because that's literally what the movie is.
I mean, I'm looking at just the pictures they have on IMDb, and I am baffled.
Oh, it is bizarre.
It's
It is
like-
so strange.
and seriously, the next morning when we woke up, both of us were like, did that happen?
The movie really feels like a dream immediately after you've watched it.
Yeah.
It's so bizarre. It is such a strange movie, but so phenomenal.
Yeah, like it was fantastic. But yeah, just
Like I
weird.
think it's probably my favorite out of the Cronenbergs that we've watched.
I think The Fly is my favorite.
Fly is very
still.
good. The Fly is very good.
It's a very good one.
We've been like slowly working our way through David Cronenberg's like 80s and 90s output.
I just want more 80s, late 80s practical effects.
Right? Becca just wants to watch The Thing and Cronenberg movies all the
I
time.
love it. It's so great.
If anybody's out there and has some good suggestions for those really practical effect heavy 80s movies, let us know. We're in.
Yeah.
I love them too.
Sci-fi.
Sci-fi
practical
preferable.
effects. Yeah.
But yeah. Let's see. We watched Joker again. We watched the Darjeeling Limited. We talked about that. I watched The Raid 2, which was fine. The Raid 1 is much better. It's their Indonesian like hyper action films. The action in them is absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, I
Um,
hear that's like the best part of them.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
The Raid 2 gets a little bit up its own butt in that like it thinks it's more important than it is. It tries to do this like really complicated story. And I'm like, no, I just came here to see dudes punch each other in the face
Yeah.
in exciting ways. And you get that for sure, but it's like it feels like these are Godzilla movies, right? And I feel the same way about them that I do about Godzilla movies, that I'm like, shut up and punch each other in the face. I don't care about your motivations. Like, you could give me nothing. Just indicate to me immediately before a fight starts who I'm supposed to be cheering for, and then give me a fight. And then move on. Tell me who I'm supposed to be cheering for, and then give me a fight. So, the movie's 2.5 hours long, and probably an hour and a half of it is amazing. And the other hour is whatever. Whereas The Raid is tight, like hour 45, and it's phenomenal all the way through.
I mean, an hour compared to an hour and a half, that's still a pretty good ratio.
Yeah.
I'd say.
I also watched Reservoir Dogs. Big fan.
Very good one.
Very good one. Holy cow, dude. That Tarantino just has it, man. Whatever
does.
it is, Tarantino's got it. He just he does not mess up, dude. So that was very good. We watched Mayhem.
That was amazing.
It was. We were inspired by Ready or Not, and apparently, what's her name? Samara Weaving.
Yeah.
Apparently, Samara Weaving did a couple like of these like hyper violent action / horror films
/ comedy.
/
I would
comedy
say.
before she did Ready or Not. And one of those is Mayhem. It's got Steven Yeun in it, and it's about there's this like virus that comes out of nowhere. I don't.
Yeah.
They do this like weird explanation, but nobody cares. There's a virus that when you get it, all it does is remove all of your inhibitions, so you just do whatever you want to do. So obviously it leads to like people having sex and beating the snot out of each other. And so like Steven Yeun at the beginning of the movie gets unjustly fired from his job at this law firm. And as he's being escorted out, they quarantine his building for an outbreak of this virus. And he makes it his mission to fight his way up this skyscraper to go kill the members of the board who fired him. Because he's a member of the law firm, and his law firm was in charge of defending a guy who got the virus and murdered his coworker. And so the legal precedent was set that like if you murdered somebody while you had the virus, you were not legally responsible. Mm-hmm. So they find this it's kind of a creative way to just like eliminate the moral underpinnings of just killing a ton of people.
Yeah.
And
That's interesting.
they say like the virus has an 8-hour efficacy, so basically they like lock the doors and they're like it's like for 8 hours anything goes. It's kind of like The Purge but a lot better. And that like there's this defined time on like how long he has to get things done, but he also has like total impunity while he does it. And he picks up Samara Weaving along the way, and she's just what a joy that human being is.
She's great.
She is such a treat. So Mayhem, highly
Very
recommended.
good.
Okay.
Yeah, very good. If you want one of those movies that it just makes you go like, ugh, a lot.
Yeah, and it's just like
That's the one.
fun
Sounds
and
great.
light. Even though they're just murdering each other, it's very light.
Oh, it's completely ridiculous. Like
Yeah.
he at one point, Steven Yeun gets stabbed like by a pair of scissors directly through the top of his hand, and you
And through a
like
desk.
see the scissors come out the bottom of a desk, and he's just like held in place for a minute, and then they just like rip the scissors out, and he like wraps a bandage on it, and he's totally fine for the rest of the movie. So it's great.
It is.
Amazing.
And then last night we watched Seven.
And it was very good.
That one's so good.
Seven's very good. Fincher all the way.
Oh yeah.
I'd seen the first 15 minutes of it, and then we finally watched it.
Yeah.
All the way.
What's in the box? What's in the box? The way he says that. So funny. That's it. That catches us up. This is fun. I'm glad we did this.
Yeah.
Me too.
I'm glad that we have a podcast.
We should do
you
this
guys.
again.
We
sometime.
should do another podcast at some point. No, that's it for me.
Yeah, that's all for me.
All right, folks. Well, if you want to get in contact with us, you can do so in the following ways. You can email us at contact@wewatchpodcast.com. You can slide into the DMs, Instagram @WeWatchPodcast or Facebook.com/WeWatchPodcast. And that's it. That's how you can get in contact with us. There are other ways probably. I guess if you know us, just text us.
Yeah, that'd be the easiest way.
Yeah. But there you go. Well, thank you guys for being here. That's you two.
Oh, you're welcome.
Oh, sure thing.
Yeah, thank you for being here. I personally appreciate it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm happy to be in my own home.
There you go. No, and we thank the listeners out there, everybody who stuck with us up to this point. So we appreciate you. We love you. My name's Andrew.
I'm Becca.
I'm Sid.
And we'll catch you on the next one.
Bye.
Bye.